Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with The Sinner, Season 1, Episode 6, review. So, personally, I thought this episode was good, but I would say, just good. It wasn't great for me. There was a lot of stuff in here that, I wasn't a huge fan of, I'm going to be honest. Some of the flashback stuff, mainly. But yeah, so, I don't know. It was a good episode nonetheless, I think. I think this was sort of, we had a good episode last week, a really good one. That gave us quite a few answers. And this one, that one was kind of picking up a little bit, spinning the wheels a little bit faster, right? Getting a lot of answers there. And then this one kind of slowed down again, and they went back to the flashbacks, and they kind of focused on that stuff. So I'm not a big fan of that. I feel, and there's only 2 episodes left. So, I don't know, I feel like we're going to get all these answers in the last, 5 minutes of episode 8, the way they're going. So, I don't know, we'll have to see, how it goes. But, for now, that's sort of what I'm kind of predicting. But, yeah, so just kind of sad to see it kind of go back to being, kind of slow-ish, and kind of taking a break again this episode. But yeah. Other than that, it was a good episode. So, anyways, let's get into this recap, and then I'll share some of my more of my thoughts later on. So, and by the way, I just like to say I'm really enjoying this show. Now I think it's it's supposed to be like the #1 show on cable or something right now, which is crazy, and they totally deserve it. Jessica Biel is just been amazing. She deserves an Emmy really for this role. And yeah, so I'm not sure, it's a really good show for me, but I think, there's been a lot of advertising, a lot of marketing for it, so I think maybe that's also why it's the top, cable show. I think that's viewings too, right? That's not necessarily ratings. So yeah, so I think it's the most viewed show on cable, which I'm not surprised by, with all the marketing and advertising. But that doesn't necessarily mean, it's an amazing show and it's better than everyone, all the other shows on right now. Although it might be, right? I don't know. But I don't think that's what that says. But I just wanted to say that because I've seen that, online, pretty much I've seen it on 3 or 4 things now saying #1 cable show. So just wanted to touch on that. So anyways, this one starts off, we resume in the same scene with Mason there going towards JD's house, and as always I'm glad about that. I love when shows just put you right back in that scene instead of getting lazy and just kind of putting you in a scene and then say oh yeah, that happened or something like that, right? So that was good. I like that, and the show is good with that. So I'm all for that. But right when he gets to the house, he sees 2 guys walk out. He hears the door kind of open there. He sees them walk out. They get in this black, sort of look like a race car a little bit, a sedan or whatever. They get in this car and they drive away. So he kind of wants to investigate. At this time, I thought maybe they were just company and they left. Now he has a chance at JD alone. So maybe that's what he was thinking. So he goes into the house and sees JD lying dead on the floor, and there's a big pool of blood around his head. So we kind of infer that he got shot in the head, and they say it later on that he got shot at close range. So obviously these 2 guys were the ones who did it. So Mason, I think there was a fan on or something, so he turns that off, and he starts to hear the baby crying, coming from the other room, and he kind of feels some sympathy for JD in this situation. Baby wasn't involved with any of it, and it doesn't really deserve to have this happen. So he ends up dialing 911 and tells them someone was shot, and tells them the address so that they can come to the scene and help the baby out, and maybe even get answers for the killers as well. Maybe that was Mason's goal with this too, and he leaves the scene pretty quick too. So and he wipes the phone, of course, making sure they don't find out that he was the one who called and that he was there, because obviously that'd be kind of suspicious. So then Harry gets together with that blonde woman again, and I don't know. I think that I don't know. I like this part of him. I like seeing this dynamic of his character. But I don't know. I think I'd be fine without seeing the woman again. But anyway, so he's kind of rebounding after his wife told him to move out. He really is just kind of using this woman. Although she I don't know. I don't know if she uses him really, but it kind of seems like that. It's kind of an abusive relationship to begin with on both sides. But I feel like, in this situation, he's totally using her, right? I mean, he's only getting together with her because, his wife told him to move out, and now he's sort of depressed about that. So that's how this happened. So basically, he passes out during them having sex, and basically, and the woman gets really worried, kind of shaking him and stuff, and gets her really worried, and then of course Harry kind of comes to again, wakes up, and she says that that they are done, that she doesn't want to see him ever again, that stuff's getting too serious or something like that, that he's never passed out before. So kind of a weird scene to watch, right? The guy passes out and then she just, leaves and gets mad at him. So I don't know, it's kind of weird, but yeah, that's what happened. And I don't know, personally, I'm glad that they're done. Honestly, I'd be fine if we don't see the blonde woman again. Just I think she's such a bad, influence on Harry for what he's doing right now for Korra. So I just would rather her be gone. And that's what it sounds like is going to happen. So then Agent Farmer says they got pictures of Mason parking his truck in that, down the, I think there was like a lake or something like that, so at the end of the lake. But it's, near JD's house, and it was at around the same time. So she thinks it was Mason who shot him, and, obviously not too far-fetched, right? I kind of see where she's coming from. But then Harry, says it doesn't add up, right? That just wouldn't make sense. And then this is the Harry I love. This is the character that, this is the best part of his character. So he then goes, he gets up from his chair, really suddenly too, and gets in a heated rant. So he basically explains all the things he's figured out so far. All the Beverwick Club, Korra and the Maddie character, or not the character, but like the Maddie girl, JD. I mean, just all the stuff he's found out, over the time span of talking to Korra and all that. And then he also says at the end, he says, which is interesting, he says JD's lawyer is also the lawyer for the Beverwick Club, and that JD was just killed shortly after they started looking into the club. I don't think he says those exact words, but that's just sort of what we get out of that. So my question is then, is the lawyer in on it? And did he tell maybe the people that killed JD, or did he tell the people that information? So, that worked for the Beverwick Club that killed JD or something like that. Maybe they're trying to cover something up. So we didn't get any answers in this episode as to why they killed him, but that's sort of my prediction there. And I think Harry's kind of getting there, right? I don't think he didn't come out and say that, but he's kind of getting there. And also we know that this lawyer is friends with his boss at the office. So we know that something is off here, right? We know that, something's being covered up, and we just don't know what yet. So I thought that was a really interesting part of that. But I'd love to see Harry's character, stand up to Agent Farmer and, say the truth, really, for the first time. So that was, to Agent Farmer. So that was good. So then we get a flashback. There was a few flashbacks in this one. Korra is with JD at his place, and he's touching her and stuff like that. He kind of, like he said, he makes her ask for it and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, I thought it was kind of creepy. He's coming off kind of like a creep sort of thing, kind of foreshadowing a little bit. What kind of guy he is. I don't know. I thought it was just kind of creepy the way it was all going down. And then all of a sudden, Maddie walks in the room. So that was kind of weird. Like, she just barges in the middle, and she definitely heard Korra and JD, so she knew what was going on. JD talks with her weirdly, like really weird, and says, jealousy, doesn't become of you or something like that. Because she walked in, and JD says, we're all in this together. So my question is, what does that mean, right? Like, obviously JD, maybe Maddie already knows, his big plan here for the three of them. So, he's saying we're all in this together. So I don't know what's going on. But obviously, later on, again in the flashback, we see that JD was kind of planning this whole thing in advance. So, obviously, I think Maddie's in on it, the situation, and that kind of makes her, leave the room. So, that was definitely an interesting little thing that he said. So then Harry goes to Faye's house, his wife, and he's watering the plants when it's raining. It's kind of funny, because we know, like no one, no one waters plants when it's raining, right? I mean, it's raining. So it kind of just shows that he's just there to see her. He's not there for the plants. And he's just having a tough time with moving out. It's difficult for him to come to that realization again. Faye actually comes out then and sees him watering the plants, confronts him basically, and he tells Faye, that he did try his hardest, but he's, frustrated because she still asked him to leave, even though, he is trying his hardest and all that, and then, she asks him to leave again and, says, get off property or whatever, so she's being pretty serious here, and he has to leave. So, but it's just tough to watch, Harry go through something like this. I really feel sorry for him. I'm not sure if, everyone feels the same, but I feel sorry for the character, He's a really likable guy, and, for his wife to, and it's not the wife's fault at all, right? It is his fault. I mean, he maybe was trying his hardest, but it's just not good enough. I mean, so, anyways, so, yeah, I do feel sorry for him still, though, and kind of tough to watch him go through this. Especially with, what's going on with the case and Agent Farmer. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So then Mason visits Korra in prison. This was one of my favorite scenes of this episode, I'm going to be honest. I liked it a lot better than the flashbacks. So Korra apologizes for lying to him in the past, about JD and that stuff. And it's just a good moment to see them together again, to see them sort of bonding a little bit and talking with each other. They never talk to each other, really. Harry has seen Korra way more, I mean, infinitely more than Mason has. And, I mean, Mason can go anytime. He's her husband, and they just haven't talked throughout this. So it's really kind of unfortunate to see that, actually. But also, makes sense with the character they've made for Mason as well, that, he isn't, too keen on going and seeing her and talking to her. So yeah, so basically, and then he also, this is a big scene, or not a big, it's still same scene, but a big line, he says, he asked her if she was really happy with him, if she was really happy with him, like, he wants to know the truth, if maybe that was all a lie, maybe she still wanted JD, he doesn't know. But she says that she was happy with him. And I also noticed the word, like, she says she was. And, I mean, they're still technically together, right? She's in prison, yes, and Mason, is obviously free. But, I don't know. I didn't like that she said was. I mean, she should say she is happy with him. But anyways, that's what happened. So, but yeah, that was good that she would say that. And she might be lying. We don't know. But it seemed realistic. And just a good moment, all in all. So then we get another flashback. Korra's sister Phoebe is sent to the hospital, and she kind of rushes in the hospital there, and she passed out, we find out, and the mom thinks, that she's going to die. She tells Korra, it can't end like this and stuff. So the parents are kind of, realizing that this might, it's maybe close to the end for her life, and obviously, she's ill, so, it's like the chances of her surviving this illness are pretty rare. So they kind of expect it, right? They just don't know when, and they're trying their best to keep her alive for as long as they can. And it's just a sad moment for the family in general to see this happening, and specifically Korra. She's got really close with Phoebe, and Korra then goes into the room and comforts her. After her sister kind of forces her mom out and doesn't want to talk to her at all. So yeah, so that was good that she went in there and comfort her, and she was there for her. So that was good to see. Then Harry asked to take Korra to the Beverwick Club. So this was interesting, and Korra phoned him to kind of trigger this, ask him if she could. And I love the way he's, Harry's so smart. He plays Agent Farmer, like, so well. I mean, He tells her exactly what she wants to hear. He says, Korra, I want to take her here so Korra will confess or something like that. So that was great. I thought that was really smart of him to just, kind of secretly to get back at her, right? As well. So that was just a funny thing there. Smart, sly, really quick thing there. And then he has to ask the judge permission, and he blackmails the judge into granting it, for some ticket that he gave her back in the day, a speeding ticket or something, or drinking while driving, or driving while drunk or something like that, some ticket before. So, I don't know. I found this kind of too easy, right? I mean, he went to the judge, and it's about a 30-second scene, and he just says, okay, well, I can make you do this because I gave you this ticket back, years ago. So, I don't know. Maybe he's been holding this for a while, right? That, he had this kind of, information and this proof. So, yeah, maybe he just uses it now. I don't know. But basically, they were giving 2 hours to go to the club, and then he has to bring her back. Those are kind of the rules of what's going on. So then another flashback, JD talks to Korra at his place, and they're kind of on the porch, and we see Korra, texting Phoebe or her family there, and, she's really connected with them, and, and she's kind of drifting away from JD, and, he says that she's too connected to Phoebe and her family. He tells her to pack her things and tell her family that she's leaving, that she's leaving. It's not up for them to decide or whatever. And he says to meet him at the tap room, and obviously this is the place where we knew Korra went on the 4th of July weekend. And then his plan is that they would go back to his place, and that she would never go back home. She could finally just move out, restart things with him. So this is obviously the night where Korra went missing and doesn't remember. So, and we obviously know that she goes through this, and she goes on that night to the tap room with JD. So, yeah, we kind of see JD's planning. He obviously planned this in advance, and he's already worked out the details, and he's really got her, wrapped around his finger, right, at this point, and is really, she's just going to listen to anything he says, right now. So, yeah, kind of a creepy thing, that he kind of planned all this and he knew about it. But obviously, that's just that's the story, I guess. So yeah, so that's really interesting. That was the night. So we're kind of getting a little bit of lead up to what happened that night, and how it all went down, and how he convinced Korra to come. So very very interesting. So then Harry and Korra go to the Beverwood Club, and then she's walking around. She says she's been there before. She knows, she recognizes some stuff. And then they go down to the basement where Harry found last episode, the masks and the uniforms and stuff. But she walks around. She doesn't really recognize anything down there, except, obviously for the masks, the uniforms. And it doesn't really look like a place, where that stuff would happen. So, yeah, it kind of seems like a dead end to us and to them. And they end up heading back in the car and leaving the club with nothing. So that was kind of an anticlimactic scene as well. I mean, that scene lasted for, I'd say like a good, 2-3 minutes, probably maybe even 4 minutes of her like looking around in that basement, and then she ended up finding nothing and she couldn't remember. So that's pretty anticlimactic there, to say the least. But anyways, it was kind of a suspenseful scene nonetheless. So then another flashback. And, yeah, I don't know. This was an odd scene for me to watch. Yeah, I'll just say it. So, Phoebe tells Korra that she's, jealous of her for falling in love, and she thinks that she, is going to leave her now, which, she's kind of a psychic, because that's exactly what's going to happen here. Yeah, so anyway, she starts crying, and she's upset, but Korra lays with her, and, kind of comforts her again, and, we just see that she cares so much for Phoebe, and she doesn't want to let her down, and I think Phoebe knows this as well, so I think she kind of plays on this for Korra, kind of plays, the pity card, in a way, which, I mean, she's obviously ill, and she has all these problems, so, yeah, can't really blame her, right? But anyways, so Korra lays with her then, and then Phoebe asks her to show her, what JD and her do alone, sexually and stuff. And Phoebe can't experience any of this. She's kind of in her room. So yeah, so this she hasn't experienced that. She wants to know what it's like, and of course Korra refuses. That's just a awkward question, and then yeah, I don't know. Finally, Korra shows her then how they kiss, but she kisses Phoebe, how JD would kiss her, and then Phoebe, asks, how does he touch you and stuff, and then she shows Phoebe by touching her, and then her hand slides down, and then we see her touching Phoebe, and I don't know, like I don't know, this scene was messed up for me. I mean, I kind of get, yeah, the sympathy from Korra to Phoebe, helping her in this situation. But I mean, that's her own sister. I mean, I don't know. It's just a little messed up for me to watch. Just a really weird scene. Was that relevant in the story? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know why we really had to see that. I think it's going to come back later on. But this also shows, maybe some of the abuse that Korra also endured in her childhood as well. So that could be something too. But yeah, I mean, it was just a messed up scene in my opinion. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it at that now. Anyways, so Harry then takes Korra back to her old house after she asks him to. She tells him, though, she starts going up the railing and, she has some memories. And she tells him that they may have missed something at the club and that she wants to go back. So, Harry says they'll run out of time. They've already had too much time, and he's going to be later than the 2 hours he agreed on. But he takes her anyways. It's definitely, worth the try, right? If she sees something then, totally worth it. So, they go back to the club again. But this time, Harry takes off her restraints and kind of lets her go. And then he gets a phone call, so he's kind of preoccupied, and she walks in alone. And the woman kind of asks, "Is the detective with you?" Or whatever. She's kind of like scared. And then Korra kind of goes out the back door of the club there, outside. And she has no restraints on right now. And Harry, goes in, can't find her. He doesn't know where she is, so it's like kind of panic here. He chases after her. It kind of leaves us thinking, like, did she escape? Like, would she do that? And I was thinking, no, there's no way. I mean, she's gonna stick around. No way she would run away. And he kind of runs all over, looks for her, and then finally he finds her in this small sort of building, and not really a shed, but a building on the property. It's kind of pretty far from the club, behind near the woods, and it's funny because he kind of like sweating and panting, so he's ran a long way. So Korra obviously ran pretty fast too to get to this building in time. Or maybe Harry was just on the phone for a long time. I don't know. But basically, she tells him that she found it, and she's just standing there. And right away, I don't know if you guys did, but I recognized the lamps on the wall right away from that scene. And so, Harry said, "You don't have to if you don't want to do this." She said, "I feel sick and whatever," but she has to do it, for the story, to get the truth. So she goes down the stairs a little bit. She's going down, and I was thinking, this is the end of the episode. Like what's going to happen here? We only got a few seconds left. And she sort of Harry's kind of going on behind her, and she kind of grabs his arm and stops him from coming down the stairs. And then sort of stops for a few seconds, kind of looks into the distance a little bit, and then she says, "I remember now." And then, and then the episode ends. So, yeah, very good ending to this one. Just like all the other episodes of this series. Really well done. They do a great job with that. And yeah, really this ending leads to big things next week. I mean, if she actually remembers, like, that's going to be crazy, right? That's going to be insane. So, but then also the question is she lying again? Seemed kind of unrealistic that she made it through like 3 or 4 stairs and now she just remembers. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of a little bit weird, a little bit twisted. So maybe she's not telling the whole truth, or maybe she doesn't remember all of it, but she remembers something. So, yeah, definitely iconic as well, that sort of line, "I remember now." So we'll have to see how that goes next week. And, yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Anyways, now let me get to my rating for this one. So, for this episode, I'm going to give this one a 3.9 out of 5. And I know that, this is kind of low in terms of this show. I've been giving it pretty high ratings. I just wasn't a big fan of these flashback scenes. I felt like the scenes with Phoebe were kind of irrelevant. At this point, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's kind of bad to say this, but in my opinion, Phoebe dying, I'm not, I don't really care, as much as I think the show's trying to make me care about her, that character. I just think, she's kind of done a lot of things that have kind of turned me off about that, right? Like, really kind of weird things as well. So, I don't know. I think that whole thing is kind of, a little bit, oversaturated. I think there's a little bit too much of this flashback stuff. Flashbacks with JD, though, were great. I mean, they kind of filled in the story a little bit more and built it up. And I love the part with Mason, that he goes to this house. He does the right thing, dials 911 after JD died. I like that the twist, that he didn't have to kill JD, he died anyways. I like that he went to visit Korra in prison, kind of, finally getting the balls to go and see her, and talk with her. That was a great scene. I liked Harry and Korra going to the club. That was sort of the main part of this episode, and I thought that was really well done, the way they showed that. And great acting from everyone again. I mean, Bill Pullman doing a great job. Jessica Biel, like I said, I mean, she deserves an Emmy for this role. I mean, she's doing amazing. Yeah. So that was it. And we didn't see much Agent Farmer this episode, so that was good. I'm not a big fan of hers already. So yeah, that was it. And also, I mean, I didn't really like the whole, like, Harry and the blonde woman, that whole thing with his wife. Wasn't a big fan of that either. I'd rather just see, the story and get some answers rather than seeing all that sort of background, outside of the case sort of thing, personal life of Harry. But, he's a big character in the show, so they kind of want to build that up a little bit. So, yeah, 3.9, a little low, but obviously I think the next episode is going to be really good. The next two episodes are going to be some of the best TV, that I've ever watched. I think they're going to be amazing. So, really excited for those, and I think this one, builds on some stuff there. Favorite character for this one, going to be Harry Ambrose, played by Bill Pullman, obviously. He was, great in this episode. Just the way, he has sympathy for Korra, that he takes her back to the club after he knows they're going to run out of time, and he's just so dedicated to finding the truth of this case and everything. So, yeah, I mean, just really great. And, the way he goes back to his wife's house, you really feel sorry for him. And the writing for this character is also really, really made him a dynamic character, way more dynamic than, well, I don't know about way more dynamic, but more dynamic than Korra, I'd say, right? I mean, we've got a lot of personal life with him and seeing what he's going through right now, along with the case, right? We've just seen Korra in the case, basically. We've seen maybe a couple things about her personal life with Mason from Mason's point of view, but that's really it. So yeah, Harry Ambrose, great character. Bill Pullman doing a great job as usual. Again, like I say this every week, I think, but some of the stuff he just takes a long time to, get out, the dialogue and stuff like that. But that's just how he's playing the character, and as long as he's consistent, we can't really judge. So, yeah, I'm impressed. So, anyways, I think that'll just about do it for this review. Like I said, there's 2 more episodes of this series, and then it's over. There won't be a season 2. So, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I really hope we get a lot of answers next episode, maybe even fill in the whole story. I'd love that. And then maybe episode 8 have, maybe justice for the killers, if she remembers who they are. So I think that, or not the killers, sorry, like, well, I guess they are killers because they killed Maddie, but sort of the abusers, I guess, of Korra. Yeah, that would be awesome to see. So, anyways, that's sort of my predictions of where it's going to go. And I think Harry's going to play a part in this. I think he's going to somehow be, involved, or something's going to happen to him in these last 2 episodes as well. I don't think I think he's more than just a detective for this case. You know what I mean? So I think something's going to happen there. But I haven't read the novel, by the way, so I don't know any of that stuff. But if you have and you're watching this, then maybe but obviously, I'm just watching the show. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this one, and thanks for the support lately on my videos. Really appreciate it. And yeah, so really excited for next week. We'll see you then for The Sinner. Season 1, Episode 7, second last one.